Hello and welcome to Relatively Crafty, a knitting podcast. I am your host, Christy. I come to you from the Denver area of Colorado, where I live with my husband, Ron, our two daughters, Tatum and Delaney, and our tuxedo kitty, Lilu. And it's September, guys. I'm so excited. You have no idea. Autumn has always been my favorite season, followed closely by winter. Summer has always been my least favorite season, and so I am always very excited when we get to September, because that means that summer is on the way out and autumn is on the way in, and all the good stuff starts happening. You know, the trees start to change and the weather gets cooler and it gets pretty outside and you have to start wearing your knitwear. And and personally, my anniversary is in September. Ron and I are actually celebrating a milestone this year. It will be 20 years. Our anniversary is on the 19th, and we will have been married for 20 years, which doesn't seem possible. That I'm alive enough, I'm old enough to have been married that long, but I guess it is. And then, you know, October is Halloween, and then November is Thanksgiving, and December is Christmas. November is also my daughter's, is Tatum's birthday. December is Delaney's birthday. You know, it's just all kinds of good stuff that starts off on September 1st. So I'm very excited. It's cooler outside. We don't even have the air conditioner on today. We're still getting some, you know, high 80s weather, so hasn't quite changed yet, but it's coming. The nights are getting cooler each night, and the day highs are not quite as high each night, or each day rather. And so yeah, I'm a happy camper. Anyway, if you are looking for me on Ravelry, I am Christy Lael, Christy-Lael, and then on Instagram and Goodreads, I'm Christy Lael without the dash. Also have a Relatively Crafty podcast group on Ravelry that isn't getting a whole lot of love right now, but it is there, and feel free to chatter and show off the things that you are making. We did have a giveaway that I was running recently, and I had announced it in my last podcast, which was not quite a month ago, about 3 weeks ago. And the giveaway was for this. Oh, I'm missing one. Hang on. I only had half the prize. The giveaway was for this very generous donation from Tia of Tia's Terrific Threads on Etsy, and she donated a full skein of her sock gobstopper ball stripers and a half skein. The full skein is in swimming pool and the half skein is in plastic flowers, and they're just adorable. And then there is also a little baggie that is filled with buttons and a slew of stitch markers and progress keepers that Tia also makes, which are gorgeous. So adorable. And she has so many. And she has so many on her, children, I tell them I'm podcasting, you need to be quiet. They don't listen. Anyway, she has so many in her Etsy shop. I mean, hundreds upon hundreds of just adorable progress keepers. So I was just in her shop today too, and I was looking, and she's come up with another couple of colorways. She has some really cute Halloween socks, or not socks, but sock yarn, with, it's a self-striper gobstopper ball, and then a like acid green speckled for heels and toes. So adorable. I am really having to sit on my hands because I'm just not knitting enough to be able to justify, I'm not knitting fast enough to justify buying a bunch of yarn right now. I'm really trying to be careful. Plus, I've been buying entirely too many books lately, so I kind of have to be careful about what I'm spending, especially because we want to go away for our anniversary. So anyway, just for the weekend, not for like a long trip. So totally got off subject. This is the prize that I will send to one lucky winner, and the random number generator went through all of the entries. There were 47 entries, and the winner was Angela8626. So Angela, get a hold of me. Send me your address on Ravelry and through a message, and I will go ahead and get this package out to you. Congratulations. Okay, so when I was doing this every week on the dot, I was very good about keeping a routine, and it was more formulaic, and now, since I'm doing it like every 3 to 4 weeks, I feel discombobulated every time I podcast. I apologize if I go off on little tangents and am not as polished as I might have been in the past. But that's the way it goes. That is the Christy of now, and the Christy of now is the only Christy I can offer to show you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the knitting. I have 2 FOs to show you. The first one is a pair of socks that I was almost finished. No, I wasn't almost. I was about halfway through them last podcast. And that is these mismatched coordinating socks that I made out of leftovers that I got from Heather of the Woolly Elephant. She is the mom half of the Woolly Elephant podcast and shop. Heather has been dyeing yarn, and Nikki, who is the daughter, has been making adorable bags. So I do recommend that you go check them out. The Woolly Elephant on Etsy. Anyway, Heather and I did a leftover swap, and she sent me 2 halves. They were about half skeins of stranded dye works in koi and nougat. And so I took them, and as you can tell, I did one color for the heels and toes, and then the other color for the body of the sock, and I switched it on the other sock, and I am so pleased with how these turned out. These were so much fun to make. And this is her Paradise, this is Amy's Paradise base, her MCN, and it is just very lovely to knit with, and I'm very pleased with how the socks turned out. This koi is so gorgeous, and I actually have a full skein of this that I managed to get in an update one time, so it's up there with my sock yarn, and so I can look forward to having a whole other pair of socks that look just like this. And since this is not a pair of socks that I am using for any of the year-long knit-alongs that I am in this year, I can go ahead and put these in my drawer right now and wear them now that the weather is cooling down. All my other socks that I've knit this year basically have gone into the box for the box of socks, or the other box for my Lolo Did It Hippos for the holidays. I'm keeping all of those together as well because I want to be able to take a nice picture at the end of the year. And speaking of box of socks, I have my August box of socks done. If you are new to the podcast, then let me tell you that my box of socks for this year, box of socks, by the way, I haven't said this in a long time, it is a knit-along that is hosted by Kristen of the Vine podcast. No, I'm sorry, Vine Yarns. The Yarngasm podcast is the name of her podcast. And it's something that she's been doing for a couple of years. The idea is that you knit 12 pairs of socks in a year, and you put them in a box, and you save them for the last month of the year, December, and you kind of like give them as a present to yourself at the end of the year. So you get these 12 pair of beautiful socks that you have been knitting throughout the year. And I just like that idea. So last year I knit them out of all of my old stripies that I had, that had been in my stash since, I think the oldest was like 2013 or 2014. And this year, I've been doing it out of Knitterly Things Vesper Sock, which is one of my favorite stripy dyers. And I had quite a lot of her yarn in my stash, mostly because I had been in her Rainbow of the Month club last year. So I got 12 fresh skeins last year. And so this is August's socks. Is this not just the most adorable colorway? Look at that. Oh. This is, she normally does like semi-solid stripies, but this time she did some speckles, and I really like the look of it. I think she did such a good job on this colorway. This is called Misty Mountain Rainbow. This was the August Rainbow of the Month for last year, and I guess for this year as well, because she did her Rainbow of the Month club again this year. So, so yeah, I just think these turned out really, really nicely. And I forgot to mention, on the last pair, but I normally do the same thing with all of my vanilla socks. It's a Turkish toe cast on. Almost every single pair of vanilla socks that I have knit in the past 3, 4, or 5 years have been with a Turkish toe cast on. And then I either do a fish lips kiss heel, if I'm doing like a coordinating heel, or if I'm knitting, you know, out of one skein of yarn without changing the color for the heel, then I will do a fish lips kiss heel. However, with my stripes, I tend to do an afterthought heel because I like that it keeps the continuity of the stripes. So yeah, there you go. That is the second FO that I have to show you guys. So you might notice that I mentioned earlier that I was in the Hippo for the Holidays knit along, which is also a year-long knit along. And you might also notice that I do not have a Hippo for the Holidays FO to show you. And that is because I haven't gotten them finished. But the nice thing about the Hippo for the Holidays is that they don't have to be done, you know, started and ended in the month period. They can kind of be done. There's a much larger window of opportunity with which to get the socks done. So I am close, just not quite finished. I do have the first sock done, though. I can show you that one on the sock blocker, if I can get it on the sock blocker. This month's hippo that I chose was the Helping Hippos, which is kind of not a hippo for the holiday. Because it was one that she dyed specially. Lauren over at Lolo Did It, by the way. She dyed them specially for the victims of Hurricane Katrina, I believe. Yeah, I think it was Hurricane Katrina. One of the hurricane from last year, the big one that like took out half of Texas and Louisiana. Anyway, so the proceeds, all of the proceeds from this yarn was donated, so I was very excited to be a part of that, and so I grabbed a skein of Helping Hippos, and is that not just gorgeous? Come on, tell me you don't absolutely love that. And if you don't absolutely love that, I'm not sure why you're watching this podcast, because this is all about this. This is all about Christy colors right here. So, Helping Hippos, as you can tell, is like all of the colors in the rainbow and gray, the hippo color. And I chose to match it with a little low in charcoal, maybe? Just one of her grays. Not Coal Miner's Daughter. I believe that's the darker one. And yeah, I'm just very, very pleased with how these turned out, or how this one has turned out. The other one hasn't turned out yet. But as I mentioned before, Turkish toe cast on, and then this one is a Fish Lips Kiss heel, and 1x1 ribbing with Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And if you notice, I have my little stitch markers here. These are the ones that I use for all of the socks that don't have stripes, because I count the rows. So I keep a stitch marker at every 10 rows, and that's how I make sure that both the socks are exactly the same size. I do have the second sock started, but I haven't gotten past the foot yet, but I will soon. I have been distracted by another project recently, but But yeah, I do still get a couple of rows in every day. And, I take it to work and I work on it a little bit on my lunch and sometimes when we're watching TV. It depends on what's closest to me, what I grab. So these will be finished shortly. Yeah. I'm carrying these. I don't normally talk about the bags, but this is one of the bags that my Aunt Kathy made for me, and I just think it's adorable. I wanted to share it with you. This type of fabric just makes my little Christy heart so happy. Look at it. It's animals, cute woodland creatures doing cute things, and it's orange. It doesn't take much to make me happy. Okay, let's see. Other whips. I haven't shown this in a couple of podcasts, and I'm not even sure I should really show it now, because I really haven't made any progress on it since the last time we talked. But I thought I would bring it out, at least, and let you look at it, so you know it's still alive. Well, yarny alive. This is my Blue Sands cardigan, which is still stuck at this point, and it's all wrinkly now because it's been sitting in the bag for weeks and weeks. I am almost to the point of finishing the last stripe of orange, and then it'll just be red all the way down to the bottom. And I don't know why, I just haven't been inspired to work on this at all. I've taken it a couple of times to knit night, and that is about all the work that it gets, is just while I'm at knit night. But it may just be because of the heat. I always find that in the last 2 months of summer, July and August, it's too hot outside to even think about really making anything that's warm. And so I still work on socks, of course, because I've got to knit something, but I just don't have much inspiration to work on sweaters. However, as the weather cools down, this would be a great sweater to wear to work, and so I'm hoping that I will get inspired to work on it some more. But I am working on it. I'm knitting this out of Volmisa DK. It's wonderful yarn. It's very pleasant to knit with. The pattern is super nice and very well written, so I'm enjoying, when I knit on it, I enjoy it. I just haven't had much call to knit on it lately. So there you go. I'm so in love with these colors too. I think what I might do is once I get to the red again, I might go and finish the sleeves first before I do the rest of the body. Because it's a long sweater. It goes down past your bum, and I think that it might be a bit of a slog to get through the rest of the body, and to think, oh, well, I have to get through the rest of the body and then I have to do both sleeves, might be too much for me right now. So if I do the sleeves first, then when I'm in the, that desert of stockinette for the body, I can say, well, at least when I'm done with the body, I'm done, So yeah. That brings up a point. Somebody asked me recently about my bingo card, and I realized I haven't talked about my bingo card in forever. Let me go get it. Okay, so here is my bingo card. This is just obviously a printout of my bingo card. I keep a digital copy that I update. And you can see I have done 8 of the 12 Knittery Things box of socks. I knew that was going to take me the entire year to do. I did knit the Rainbow Dash socks, or one of them, and then kind of changed my mind and made the other 2 socks into something else. I have not knit the Boss Sweater, although I did start one in that 100% silk yarn, if you guys remember from early on this year. And then I didn't like working with the yarn, so I bought a different kind of yarn with which to knit that sweater. So hopefully I'll get to it. In fact, that should be one that I do soon, because that would be perfect for this in-between weather that we're having. Tear out Splash of Blue and reuse the yarn. I have torn out Splash of Blue, but I have not reused the yarn. I'm going to dye it first, It's Cascade Eco, and I have to re-dye it. Hopefully I'm putting pictures of these things so you know what I'm talking about. This is Knit the Comfort Fade Cardi. I did do that. It looks like this. Let's see. Finish the second fireweed sock. I did start the second fireweed sock, if you guys recall, when we were going to Arizona and then California for our graduation in April. I started it, but I and I was making good progress on the color work for the leg, but I've forgotten which size I had knit, and so I did this much of the leg in the wrong size. It was a size too small, and so I had to tear that all out. So well, maybe one day get back to it. And then finish the butterfly quilt cross stitch. Yeah, I haven't done that. Then I've got my free space. Knit the Stitch Surfer socks. I haven't started those at all. Knit the Snowflake Sweater. I did do that. Knit 6 hippos for the holiday projects. I did do that. I finished that. I've knit, well, 7.5. Knit Delaney a sweater out of Knit Picks Capra in stash. I did do that. Make my mom at least, how many? Oh, good God. 5 pairs of socks. I have not knit my mom in a single pair of socks this year. Wow. I normally knit her 3 or 4 pairs of socks a year, so I can't believe that I haven't even knit a single pair for her this year. That just shows you how much work has affected my knitting. At least start a crochet scrap blanket. I haven't started that. What does it say? Frog pavement sweater and reuse the yarn. I did do that. Knit the Athena sweater. I did that, although I still haven't worn it out yet. That's another one that I should probably start getting on these slightly cool fall days, because it's a heavyweight yarn, but it's mostly cotton, so it's not very warm, the sweater. Let's see. Make Uncle 2 pairs of socks. I haven't started those. Knit 5 oldest sock skeins. I did do that. No, 3 oldest sock skeins. I did that. Knit at least 3 sock blanks. I have knit 1. You see my little mark there. And then knit the Cushing Isle sweater. I haven't done that at all. I thought I had knit Ron socks on here. How did I miss that? Oh, dude, I missed a whole I totally skipped up here. Sorry. Knit at least 3 pairs of socks for Ron. I have knit him 1 pair of socks. I can't believe I skipped all that. Why didn't you guys tell me? Try a new to me indie dyers, both knitting and buying. I did do that. And then make Aunt Kathy 2 pairs of socks. I have made her 1 pair. So I'm making progress. I've got 4 months left. September, October, November, December. 4 months left. But they are the heavier knitting months. So maybe I'll get through more of these. I don't know that I'll get through all of them. In January, when I made the list, I was certain that I would get through all of them, but I don't think I'm going to. But I'm still holding out hope that I'll get through at least a couple more. So there is an update on my bingo card. I should say, actually, that bingo card is, that is run by Erin of Bling Your String. She has a Bling Your String, so Bling Your String is her shop where she makes the most adorable knitting bags, and then she also hand dyes yarn. She has her own Ravelry group, and so that's kind of a knit along that she's running for this year. And honestly, I haven't checked in to see how anybody is doing in that group. I've spent almost no time on Ravelry these past couple of months. I really need to get back into that. Okay, so that is all of the whips and FOs. I guess we can go ahead and talk about the things that I'm going to be knitting in September. That is basically only just the 2 skeins that I'm going to be knitting for the 2 sock cowls that I'm in. For the hippo for the holidays, I have opted with this gorgeousness. This is Hippo for Baby Yellow. If you don't know, Lauren's sister is pregnant. I don't know if she's had the baby, but her being pregnant was the catalyst for these colorways, and so Lauren did 8 different Hippo for the Holidays Hippo for Baby colorways, and they were all monochromatic, so basically one color and then the gray, which I realize does not make them monochromatic, but just deal with it. So anyway, Hippo for Baby Yellow was this one, and I fell in love with it, of course, because how could you not? And I already had this in my stash. Whew, that's bright. Sorry, there's no way to stop that blowout. Yeah, that's about as good as it's gonna get. This is Sunglasses Not Included. I think that's what it's called. Let me make sure. Yes, Sunglasses Not Included. It is a very highlighter yellow, and it is going to go splendidly with this. So bright. So that will be my August Hippo for the Holidays socks. And then for my box of socks, I am pulling out another of the Rainbow of the Month colorways. And this one is from September of last year. This is Autumnal Equinox, which is also very, very gorgeous. It has a bit of a peach color right here. This is peach, and I'm very excited to knit these. So these will be the next ones that I cast on as soon as I finish my Helping Hippo socks. And then all that I have left after that is yarn haul. I don't have very much to haul because, as I said, I've been trying not to buy yarn, mostly because I'm buying books, but also because I'm not knitting as much. But I did know that I needed to get another one of the Hippo for Babies colorways. This is Hippo for Baby Orange, and yeah, it's adorable. There is Hippo for Baby Yellow, Orange, Red, Green, Blue, and Purple. Yellow, Orange, Red, Green, Blue, Purple, Gray, and Pink. So there's 8 total. So, so yeah, you should check those out. I am kind of going back and forth about how many of these to get. Some of them are a little too reminiscent of some of the other Hippo for the Holidays colorways. In my personal opinion, like the Hippo for Green, or the Hippo for Baby Green is adorable, but it looks a lot like Hippo for St. Patty's. And then either the pink or the purple also looks a lot like Hippo for Valentine's. So I'm trying not to get socks that look too much alike, but I do need, so these will be my September socks. I have no other Hippo for the Holidays colorways. And so I need October, November, and December socks, and I have already done Hippo for Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah, and Halloween. However, I would be interested in getting another Hippo for Halloween skein and knitting another pair of socks. Those ones, something about them, I don't know if my gauge was off, but they came out bigger for some reason than the other pairs that I have made. I'm not really sure what happened. So so I would be interested in knitting another pair of those to replace the ones that I had before. But yeah, I'm really kind of getting short on hippos for the holidays that I can knit for the last 3 months of the year. So we'll see how it goes. But I may end up getting another of the Hippo for Babies colorways. We'll see. And then my last haul thing to show you is something I didn't actually buy. It's something I earned. You guys might recall last month, July? Either July or August, I did a commission piece for Nicole of Hugh Loco. I knit this shawl. Yeah, it must have been, well, it doesn't matter. Anyway, And she sent me my payment yarn for it, and oh my goodness, it's so gorgeous. I got a sweater's worth of yarn, 5 skeins of her Phyllis Sport. I haven't taken it out of the bag yet because it's just so pretty. I will take out 1 skein to show you guys. I asked for it all to be in the same colorway, and this is Fall-tastic. And Nicole was so awesome because she didn't actually have this in stock in her shop, and she dyed it specially for me. It's just look, just look, just tell me how beautiful you think this is, because holy cannoli, Nicole is so talented. If you are not familiar with Hue Loco, I highly recommend you check out her shop. She is a local to me dyer. She is in Longmont, Colorado, I believe, and which is like an hour from where I live. Maybe not even that much, I don't know. But yeah, just so talented. And so I have 5 skeins, as I said, in Phyllis Sport, which is an 80-20 merino nylon blend. It is 328 yards a skein, and I'm hoping to make myself a pullover with it. Not exactly sure what pattern I'm going to use yet, but it's definitely something that I'm going to knit, and I'm going to love. I'm very excited. So there you go. And yeah, that's all that I have to haul. Let's go ahead and get into books. I have a few books to talk about. I have been reading a lot lately, and I've I'm getting to the point where I have exhausted, or I have nearly exhausted the books that I had on my shelves that I was like, and I was very meh about, and was listening to on double speed so that I could get through them quickly, so that I could unhaul them and take them to my used bookstore and trade them in for other books. Oh my goodness. I totally forgot one of the whips I'm working on. Can we go back? Hang on. I can't believe I forgot that. This is the one I'm excited about. This is the one that's been distracting me from my socks. Okay, so I was contacted to do a product review, and I love doing product reviews because they send me the yarn and I get to play with really great yarn. I get to tell you guys all about it, and it's just fun. It's just a fun thing to do. This yarn was one that was a dyer I wasn't familiar with, but I'm really falling in love with. It is Delicious Yarns, and they really stick with a theme. So the yarn came, in fact, I'll post a picture here. It came in hanks, and it was wrapped in this beautiful ribbon with their name on it. And the idea of these two together, it's a line that they're coming up with called Perfect Pairings, I believe. Let me double check that. Oh, I think just pairings. Sorry, excuse me. Just pairings. The idea is that you get these 2 skeins of yarn and you put them together to make something, a shawl, or a hat and gloves combo, something like that. And I'm always excited about these kinds of things, and I really liked the fact that these were paired kind of unusually. Like, they weren't obvious pairings, some of them, and so I picked 2 colorways, or one of the pairings that they had that was definitely like that. It was just not exactly what you would think to put together, but they were looking so good together. So the first one is this gorgeous, like, lettuce green color. This is, that's the wrong tag, hang on, thought I was prepared and I wasn't. So this is in their Frosting Sport base, which, I gotta show you guys this. This is their tag. Okay, so here's the front. Delicious Yarns. It's upside down, I'm sorry. Come on, can you see it? delicious yarns. And then on the other side, they have all the information, but it's like it's a nutritional chart from the back of food, because it's delicious yarns, right? So, so yes, I love these. So Frosting Sports, and the nutritional facts are that it is 100 grams. There's one serving. There are 0 calories per serving, which is good. And the total yardage is 310 yards. And it's 100% superwash merino, and it is color 106 pistachio. It's very, very nice. It's 100% merino, but it's a soft, it's superwash, and it's very soft. So this one, so down here, it says right here, this asterisk, percent daily values are based on a 2,000 stitch per day diet. Your daily values may be higher or lower depending on your level of stitching obsession. I love it when somebody takes a theme and they run with it all the way. It just makes me so happy. So anyway, they are based in Valley Village, California. Not sure where that is, but I am very impressed. And they also, they add a little care tag that they talk about their yarns. Protect your delicious projects. Every effort has been made to make sure that to assure the color fastness of our yarns. However, we suggest color handling of brighter and more saturated colors and consideration of the company they keep. Clever. Just as you wouldn't put a red sock in with your white load, you'll want to think about the way the colors like cherry and vanilla frosting might commingle in water, and pay a visit to the friendly neighborhood dry cleaner instead. Oh, these guys are funny. Anyway, I guess I'm doing my review now. I wasn't planning on doing it until I finished the project, but I have knit enough with this that I think that I can safely give a good review. This is very pleasant to knit with, and this is a very nice color. It's a semi-solid, so it's, you know, it's not solid all the way through. You have some darker spots and some lighter spots, but it is very pleasant in that, and as I said, it's very soft to knit with and very smushy. So it is a sport weight yarn, and it is a nice plump sport weight yarn. The second color I have is also sport, and it is in their Speckles Sport base, and it is Blueberry Mist, color 8521. And this is what I meant when I said that, you know, you wouldn't really necessarily think to put these two colors together, because this has no green in it. This is blue and white, and this one is green. And yet, they are looking so good together. I will show you what they look like together in just a second. But these are the two colors that I have. And with the request to review their yarn, they offered a free copy of one of the patterns they have produced. And the pattern is the Piece of Cake shawl. And going along with their theme, they've got the ingredients right here. Yeah, it's 2 skeins of their delicious yarn superwash merino fingering. I am knitting it out of sport, but I think that it's going to be fine. With a shawl like this, you can kind of, you know, take some liberties with it. And I am really enjoying knitting this. This has been a fun shawl to make. So let me go ahead and show you where I am. This is my color A, by the way. This is my color B. Make sure I show you guys the right side. Here is the beginning of the shawl, and you can see what I meant with the not the speckles, but the what's the word? Semi-solidness of the yarn. And this is the right side. This is the wrong side. And then this is where the two colors work together. Look at how good that's looking, right? Aren't those looking so good together? I'm so pleased that I got these two colors. Or that I got this pairing, I guess, because they paired these. I didn't pick these colors individually. They paired them together for me. So this has got a kind of like a hitchhiker type of side here where you've got these little like wings, and I'm on the second wing. And yeah, I'm just really having fun knitting this. It has been so enjoyable. The pattern is super fun and the yarn is very nice to work with. And yeah, I'm really, really liking it. Definitely will be a Delicious Yarns customer more in the future. So I will link their shop down below, of course, as I always do. And I would recommend you check out their pairings. Okay, that's all the yarn. Let me get back into, gosh, I can't believe I forgot about a whole project. I don't do that. That's what I'm talking about. I can't remember the order of things anymore. Okay, so we were talking about books. So as I said, I've exhausted most of the books that I'm kind of meh about, and I really didn't want to read, or wanted to read knowing that they weren't going to really blow my mind. And now I'm into all of the books that I'm more excited about. And so my reading, I guess the rate at which I was consuming books has kind of gone down a little bit. But not in a bad way. And the books that I am reading now, I'm getting more, I'm enjoying more, and so I'm more keen to talk about them. There was a good 50 books that I read over the past 6 months that I finished and put in a box and sent down to the used bookstore because they were just worth reading once, and maybe, and some of them maybe not even worth reading once. But, so some of the things that I have read recently, this one actually I haven't read recently. I read this one last year, but the sequel just came out recently, and I read that one. However, I of course don't have the sequel, not the sequel, the companion novel to show you because I've loaned it to my mother. But this is My Lady Jane, which was written by Brody Ashton, Cynthia Hand, and Jody Meadows. They are 3 very talented writers who have written their own YA books in the past, and they've come together to collaborate on this. This is not a YA series, and it's going to be a trilogy, but as I said, they're companion novels, not sequential. So you could read them in any order, and you don't need to read one to read the others, or you don't need to read the others to read the one. But they are super fun, super clever, and super funny. This one, as I said, is My Lady Jane, and this is kind of a reimagining of the story of Lady Jane Grey, who, if you don't recall, or am not up on your English history, she was Queen of England for like 5 days. I don't remember exactly how long she's queen, but it's like a week, and then she's beheaded. And so, so this is the story of her. But as I said, it's a reimagining, and it's not really historical in any way, because there are, well, I don't want to give away too much. Well, let me just read the back for you. The comical, fantastical, romantical, entirely, but not really, true story of Lady Jane Grey. Lady Jane Grey, 16, is about to be married to a total stranger, and caught up in an insidious plot to rob her cousin, King Edward, of his throne. But that's the least of Jane's problems. She's about to become the Queen of England. Like that could go wrong. This was super fun. And, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. There is just so much, it's whimsical, I guess is a good word for it. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it on both physical and audio. It's just a really good book. It's one that I kind of want to reread now. But I really enjoyed it when I read it last year. I gave it 5 stars. And then the second book just came out this year, as I said, and it is My Plain Jane. And that one is about the story of Jane Eyre. So this is where I go, well, it's not really historical because Jane Eyre is not a real person. But it is kind of the reimagining of the story of Jane Eyre, only she sees ghosts. In this book, there is shapeshifting. In My Plain Jane, there is ghosts. And again, it is very, very funny, very well put together, and super genius. Just very clever the way that they've come up with these stories. And then there will be a third book, and I don't know what it's, I don't know like the added feature of it, but it is going to be about Calamity Jane. So I'm very excited about reading that one. It won't come out for like a year and a half, which is kind of a bummer, but I do highly recommend that you check out these books. And like I said, you don't need to read them in any order. You can read My Plain Jane first and then read My Lady Jane, or if you decide you just don't care about Jane Grey, you're welcome to just read about Jane Eyre. And I'm really, really glad, and I hope that these three authors come together and make something else. Another audiobook that I recently listened to, it was a trilogy, and but it was written by one author, and that author is Stephen King. Now, I have kind of a weird relationship with Stephen King. I love books that are creepy, and I love the way that Stephen King writes. However, when I was 15 or 16 years old, I decided that I was old enough to read it, and I very quickly learned that I was not old enough or brave enough to read it, and so I kind of like swore off his books from then on for many years. When I was about 20, I finally got up some more guts and I read The Shining, which I loved. But then I didn't read another one of his books. And then after Ron and I got married, a couple of years after we got married, he had me read, what was it, The Dark House, The Black House, which is a duology, The Talisman and The Black House, I think. And I read those and I really enjoyed them. And then I've seen some of his miniseries, Rose Red, and a couple other ones, but I still haven't brought myself to read very many of his books. Until last year or the year before, I guess it must have been last year, when my book club read 11/22/63. So I read that one, and I was okay with reading that one because it's not scary, it's just kind of supernatural. And really, really loved that book. And then Ron and I reread The Shining together, which was so much fun. And lately, I've just really been feeling like I want to read more of his books. So I've picked up a couple, and a friend of mine at work has a lot of his audiobooks, and so she loaned me the Bill Hodges trilogy, which is, if you're not familiar, it's Mr. Mercedes, which is the first of the trilogy and tells about a man, who took a Mercedes and drove it into a crowd of people with the intent to murder as many as he could. And Bill Hodges is the detective who was never able to figure out who Mr. Mercedes was until he was retired, and then Mr. Mercedes contacts him, and so it's about Bill Hodges like solving this case that he never could solve while he was on the force. And you know who Mr. Mercedes is from the beginning, so it's not like on your edge of your seat trying to see if you're going to figure out who this bad guy was. It's more like, oh my goodness, is Bill going to stop him before he kills like the entire world type of a thing. And it was great. Very edge of your seat. I listened to it on audio, and it was one of those things where you sit in the car and you wait until the end of the next chapter because you just don't want to stop listening to it right now. And then the second book is called Finders Keepers, which was also very good, although I will say that it did kind of drop off a little bit for me. I don't want to give you any information about it because it will give away spoilers, but if you enjoyed Mr. Mercedes, I think you would enjoy the second one. I do find often that the second in a trilogy tends to be a little bit of a letdown. That doesn't always happen, but more often than not it does. And then the third book I just finished yesterday, I believe, and it is called End of Watch, and it is also very, very good. Very much like the first one. I really enjoyed it a lot and was very on the edge of my seat. Really, really good trilogy. Not horror scary, more kind of detective twisted. So, so if you're one of those types of people that, you know, can't do horror, then I don't think that you should be afraid of it. This isn't like Carrie or The Shining or It. This is more like you know, a detective book. So very, very well done. I really, really enjoyed them. I don't have copies of them. That's why I'm showing you pictures, but I did really, really love them. And the audiobook is phenomenal. You should definitely listen to the audiobook if you're inclined to audiobooks. And then another author that I have, well, and then this next author, next trilogy of books, or trio of books, I should say, because they're not a trilogy. This is an author that is new to me, but I've had her books on my shelf for a while because I've been interested in them. She is a YA contemporary novelist, and I like lighthearted contemporaries, kind of rom-coms, or even if they're not rom-coms, I just really like lighthearted contemporaries that kind of make you laugh a little bit more than those hard-hitting contemporaries where you're like, you know, somebody's brother has died or their mother has died or they're gonna die of cancer, and it's them getting through these. Those are great to read, and I do read them and I do really enjoy them, but I find that like with movies, I always go towards the comedy more than the drama. This is the same kinds of situation. So I wanted to tell you about her because I have read 2 of her 3 books already, and I'm in the middle of the 3rd, and I'm really, really enjoying her writing. And she is Emma Mills. Here are her 3 books. Now these are all YA, but they are good YA. They're the ones that, you know, grown-ups can enjoy as well. The first book that she wrote is First and Then. And one thing that I really like about her books is that the hardbacks have an added feature to the actual hardback. So here is the dust jacket, and then here is the hardback. I just love it when they take a little extra time, put a little extra money into them. This is the story of Devin, who is a senior in high school, who has just ended up having to have her cousin Foster, who is a freshman in high school, come to live with them, and he's kind of annoying, and she's kind of a person that likes to stay in the background, but she has a huge crush on Kaz, and he's her best friend, and it's just one of those kinds of stories, you know, kind of not so much coming of age, but everybody's kind of growing in it, and there's some nice heartwarming spots, and there's some nice funny spots, and it was really, really good. I think that this so far is my favorite, but I did really like this one as well. This Adventure Ends, and again, dust jacket, cover of the book. Look at that. Tell me that's not gorgeous. So this is the story of Sloane, who is kind of new to town, and she has made friends with twins, Gabe and Vera, I believe. Yeah, Gabe and Vera. Gabe and Vera's mom was an artist, and she's recently passed away, and Sloane found out that one of the pieces of art that meant the most to Gabe got sold, and so she is on a quest to find it and get it back for Gabe. And again, there's a lot of learning about themselves and about each other. There's a very good friend group in here, and I just really, really enjoyed it. Most recently, she put out Foolish Hearts, which makes me think of that 80s song. Foolish hearts, hear me calling, stop before you stop falling. Anyway, here is the cover. Very, very pretty. I can't tell you what this one's about yet, because I am only that far in. And I didn't read the synopsis, and I don't want to, because I'm already reading the book. So, needless to say, it is still a nice, lightish, contemporary book, and I'm enjoying what I'm reading so far. So I would recommend Emma Mills if you are into that kind of books, into those kind of books. Lastly, I have a book that I'm reading with Delaney. This is Bob. Bob is a story by Wendy Mass and Rebecca Stead. Rebecca Stead has won the Newbery Award for When You Reach Me a couple of years back, and she's a very good writer. I've read most of her work, and this is fairly new, and it is about Olivia, Livy, who she went to visit her grandmother when she was 5, and then hadn't gone back for 5 years, and so she's 10 or 11 now. I guess it's been 6 years. And she's gone back, and when she didn't remember anything of her trip to Australia to visit her grandmother back then. But when she gets up to the room that she stayed in before, she finds this kind of zombie, non-zombie creature in her closet named Bob. And Bob has been in the closet since she left 6 years ago, and Livy doesn't remember him at all. But before she left, they were on a quest to find out how Bob came to be there. And so they decided to pick up where they left off and figure out where Bob came from. And as they're going on, Livy is remembering more and more about her previous visit with her grandmother. And we are just about halfway through. It is such a cute book. And it has some really great illustrations. Like there is Livy when she when she was reintroduced to Bob. Super cute book. I'm really, really enjoying it. The chapters go back and forth between Livy and Bob as the point of view, and they're super fun. And Delaney and I are really enjoying reading it together. That is all that I've been reading. Well, it's not all that I've been reading, but it's all that I've been reading that is that has been stuff that I wanted to talk about. So let's talk a little bit about personal stuff. There's not a whole lot to say. I'm still working. The girls have started school, which has been nice. They're not sitting and watching TV all day anymore, which is good. Their teachers this year seem really great. I'm really excited about it. They're both kind of at the top of their game. Here, 6th grade is junior high, so Delaney is in 5th grade. So she's the oldest in elementary school, in the oldest group. And then Tatum is in 8th grade, which is the end of middle school. So she is also in the oldest group. So they're kind of enjoying being at the top and also trying to really get as much as they can out of this last year before they change schools. Delaney will go to middle school next year, and Tatum will go to high school, which is crazy. But they're both doing really well, and I really like their teachers. And Ron and I are just, working and doing our thing. I did take another one of my CLEP tests. I don't know if you guys recall, but when we graduated in April, when we went through the graduation ceremony, the commencement ceremony, I still had 2 tests left to take. It took me a long time to take one of them. Obviously, I just took it this past week. It was analyzing and interpreting literature, which was really a breeze. I thought it was going to be a lot harder, but I ended up doing really well on it. I needed a 50 to pass it. I got a 68. So like a B basically on the test, which is pretty good. I felt really good about it. So I have one left, and then I will finally be done with my degree. And I want to get done with it quickly. Ron has already gotten his diploma in the mail. I won't get mine until I do this last test. Or take the class. Although I can't imagine taking the class would be better than taking the test. But we'll see. Biology is what I have left, and it's not really scientifically minded, so I'm a little bit nervous. And it's a 6-unit test, so it's, you know, the analyzing and interpreting literature was only a 3-unit test. We'll see. I'm studying. I'll get there. But it was nice to mark that third test off. I had to take 4 total, and now I only have 1 left. Hey, yeah, just things are going well. I mean, like I said, our anniversary is coming up this month. 20 years. We are looking forward to the fall. My parents are all moved in. We're working out a nice routine with them. We see them like every other week, every 3rd week or so. You know, they either come here for dinner, or we go over to their house for dinner, or we do a day trip. So it's been nice to have them around. And yeah, just things are going pretty good. I think I'm feeling very blessed, I guess I should say. So I would like to be able to knit more, but I do like the paychecks. So yeah, I guess that's all I have to talk about. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. I hope your knitting is going fantastically. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a wonderful rest of your week, guys. Happy knitting. Bye.